Welcome to The Explainer. So, have you ever wondered why some lessons just stick with you for years, while others disappear the second you walk out of the classroom? Well, today we're going to dig into two huge ideas that totally flip the script on how we think about learning, taking it out of the textbook and into the real world. And it all really starts with this powerful idea from John Dewey, a true game changer in educational philosophy. His point was simple but so profound. Learning shouldn't be some dress rehearsal for your future. Nope, it is life, happening right here, right now. You see, Dewey was looking around at the schools of his time, and he thought, this is all wrong. They were basically set up like factories, designed to churn out workers through rote memorization. He said, hold on, the goal should be so much bigger than that. It should be about cultivating curious, critical thinking citizens who are ready for life, and they get there through asking questions and having real experiences. To build this new life model, he based his entire philosophy on 4 core pillars. And these pillars completely shifted the focus, from the teacher just handing out information to you, the learner, actively building your own understanding. The first pillar is the one you've probably heard of, learning by doing. It's the difference between just reading in a book about how a plant grows and actually planting a seed, watering it, and watching it sprout with your own 2 eyes. It's all about that direct, hands-on experience. But, and this is a huge but, just having an experience isn't enough. Dewey insisted that the learning only really sticks when we stop and reflect on it. We have to take a step back and ask ourselves, okay, what just happened? What did I notice? And how does this connect to everything else I know? That little pause, that's where the magic really happens. He also stressed that we don't learn in a vacuum. Learning is social, We build our knowledge together by talking, debating, even disagreeing with each other. And that whole process doesn't just teach you facts. It teaches you how to communicate and collaborate, skills you actually need in life. And finally, all these pillars come together for one big goal: democratic education. Dewey believes schools should be like miniature democracies, places where students can practice disagreeing respectfully and being active participants. And in this world, the teacher isn't a lecturer. They're more of a facilitator, a guide on the journey. So Dewey gave us this incredible why, this grand vision for what education could be. But how do you actually turn that philosophy into a practical model that you can use day in and day out? Well, that's where our next thinker comes into the picture. Let's jump ahead to the 1980s and talk about a guy named David Kolb. What he did was frankly brilliant. He took Dewey's core principles and formalized them into this clear 4-stage learning cycle. And it's so effective, it's still a cornerstone of everything from classrooms to corporate training programs today. Now, what's really cool here is how this shows learning as a continuous loop. It starts with a concrete experience. You actually do something. Next, you hit that reflective observation stage, where you step back and analyze what just happened. From there, you form an abstract conceptualization. That's just a fancy way of saying you come up with a theory or a new idea. And finally, you dive into active experimentation, where you try out that new plan, which of course gives you a brand new experience, and the cycle starts all over again. But this is where Kolb added another crucial layer. He realized that even though the cycle has 4 stages, we all have our own natural preferences. We're drawn to certain parts of it more than others. And this led him to identify distinct learning styles. Kolb found that our personal learning style is really shaped by how we approach 2 fundamental parts of the learning process. First up, how do you prefer to perceive or grasp new information? Are you a concrete feeling person who needs that direct experience? Or are you more of an abstract thinking person who likes theories and models? Then, question number 2, how do you prefer to process that information? Are you someone who learns by watching and reflecting, or by doing and actively experimenting? Your answers put you somewhere on these 2 scales. And this is how we get the 4 primary learning styles. If you combine feeling and watching, you're a diverger. You're amazing at brainstorming and seeing a problem from tons of different angles. Thinking and watching makes you an assimilator. You're the person who loves taking a whole bunch of complex data and creating a perfect logical model. Now, if you're a thinking and doing person, you're a converger. You're a natural problem solver who hears a theory and immediately says, okay, but how can I use this? And finally, feeling and doing makes you an accommodator, a hands-on experimenter who just loves to jump in, try things, and get your hands dirty. So, after all that, what's the really crucial thing to take away from Dewey's vision and Kolb's cycle? Well, a few things. First, raw experience is not the same as learning. It's the reflection that builds the bridge between doing something and actually understanding it. Second, learning isn't some destination you arrive at. It's a continuous cycle of doing, thinking, planning, and trying again. And finally, the best learning environments, whether it's a school or an office, are the ones designed to cater to all four learning styles so that everyone has a way in, no matter how their brain works. So this leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Understanding the architecture of how we learn, this cycle of experience and reflection, it doesn't just help teachers and trainers. It empowers each one of us to be more intentional about our own growth. So, what's one thing you'll do differently the next time you try to learn something new?